The gym was supposed to be their sanctuary, a place to build strength, find peace, and push their limits. But for these 6 individuals, their final workout became exactly that. What started as routine exercise sessions turned into fatal encounters with the very equipment meant to improve their lives. It was March 14, 2015, and the Iron Paradise Gym in Denver sat nearly empty as the clock struck 11 p.m. The 15,000-square-foot facility's fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting long shadows across rows of silent equipment, while the late-night crowd had dwindled to just a handful of dedicated lifters scattered across different floors. The smell of rubber mats and metal mixed with the faint echo of weights clanking from the cardio level above. Marcus Thompson adjusted his lifting gloves as he approached the bench press station, his 6-foot frame moving with the confidence of someone who had spent over a decade perfecting his craft. At 28, the personal trainer had built his reputation on proper form and safety protocols, preaching to his clients about the importance of spotters and controlled movements. His home gym setup included every safety feature imaginable, but tonight he was chasing something that had consumed his thoughts for weeks. Marcus had been training intensively for the Colorado State Powerlifting Championship, scheduled for next month. His personal record of 315 pounds had stood for 8 months, and the competition required him to push beyond his comfort zone. He had been visualizing this moment for days, loading 335 pounds onto the Olympic barbell, and finally breaking through the plateau that had frustrated him since Christmas. The gym's late-night atmosphere felt different from his usual training sessions. No crowds to impress, no clients to supervise, just Marcus and the weight that had been calling to him. He had dismissed the gym's safety protocols that he normally followed religiously, convinced that his experience and strength would carry him through this personal milestone. Marcus loaded the barbell methodically. He slid 3 45-pound plates onto each side of the bar, then capped it with a 10. The math was simple: 335. That would either make him or break him. He positioned himself on the bench, feeling the familiar grip of the knurled bar as he prepared for what he expected to be his greatest lifting achievement. The weight came off the rack smoothly, Marcus's arms steady as he held 335 pounds above his chest. But as he began his descent, the bar dropped faster than he expected and slammed into his chest with a force that knocked the air out of him. The impact drove the bar slightly forward toward his neck, and Marcus realized with growing horror that his arms couldn't push it back to safety. The barbell settled across his throat with crushing force, its 335-pound mass compressing his windpipe and cutting off his air supply. Marcus's legs kicked frantically against the bench as he fought to lift the weight, but his arms had already given out from the failed rep. The bar pressed deeper into his neck, restricting blood flow to his brain while he struggled in complete silence. His vision began to blur as oxygen deprivation set in, his desperate attempts to roll the bar down his body failing against the awkward angle and overwhelming weight. Marcus's movements grew weaker as minutes passed, his body's fight-or-flight response no match for the physics of 335 pounds crushing his airway. A janitor discovered Marcus's body at 6 a.m. the next morning, still pinned under the barbell that had become his tomb. Security footage revealed he had been trapped for over 2 hours, his final moments captured in grainy black and white as he fought a battle he couldn't win. The Iron Paradise Gym faced multiple lawsuits and was forced to install safety bars on every bench press station, while Marcus's death became a cautionary tale that echoed through gyms across Colorado about the fatal consequences of lifting alone. It was August 7, 2016, and the Miami heat had driven the after-work crowd into the air-conditioned sanctuary of 24-hour fitness. The 20,000-square-foot facility buzzed with activity as professionals shed their business attire for workout gear, seeking relief from both the oppressive humidity and the stress of corporate life. The cardio section hummed with the rhythmic pounding of feet on treadmill belts while CNN played silently on mounted televisions. Jessica Rodriguez secured her favorite treadmill in the back row, away from the main traffic flow where she could push her limits without feeling self-conscious. At 24, The marketing executive had discovered that running was the only thing that could quiet the constant pressure of client deadlines and campaign launches. Her Fitbit showed she had already consumed 3 energy drinks since lunch, but the caffeine buzz felt like rocket fuel for tonight's workout. Jessica had been experimenting with high-intensity interval training for the past month, gradually increasing her sprint speeds as her competitive nature demanded constant improvement. She had been watching other runners hit 10 and 11 miles per hour during their intervals, and tonight felt like the perfect time to join their ranks. Her usual 8 miles per hour felt pedestrian compared to what she knew her body could achieve. Her co-workers had started calling her the machine for her relentless work ethic, but Jessica knew that same drive could transform her body just as it had elevated her career. She had been documenting her fitness journey on social media, posting progress photos that garnered hundreds of likes from followers who admired her dedication. The validation fed her competitive spirit, pushing her to attempt increasingly dangerous speeds that would make for even more impressive content. The treadmill's digital display glowed as Jessica began her warm-up, gradually increasing from a walking pace to her comfort zone of 6 miles per hour. But comfort zones were for people without ambition, and Jessica had been promoted twice in the past year by refusing to accept limitations. She had been eyeing the speed demon in lane 3 who regularly hit 12 miles per hour during his sprints, and tonight she planned to match his pace. Her phone buzzed with a work emergency as she reached 10 miles per hour, the familiar stress of a client crisis demanding immediate attention. Jessica glanced down at the urgent email about a campaign launch, her eyes leaving the moving belt for what felt like a split second. But at 12 miles per hour, a split second was enough for disaster to strike. Jessica's left foot caught the edge of the treadmill belt as she looked up from her phone, her stride pattern disrupted by the momentary distraction. The high-speed belt grabbed her foot and threw her backward with tremendous force, launching her off the machine like a human projectile. She flew through the air for 6 feet before her head struck the concrete wall behind the treadmill with a sickening crack that silenced the entire cardio section. The impact created a spiderweb of fractures across Jessica's skull, her brain hemorrhaging as other gym members screamed and rushed to help. Blood pooled beneath her head as she lay motionless against the wall, her body twisted at an unnatural angle, while the treadmill continued running at 12 miles per hour, its belt now stained with her blood. Paramedics arrived within 4 minutes, but Jessica's head trauma was beyond treatment. She was pronounced dead at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Her dreams of corporate success ended by a moment of divided attention at 12 miles per hour. The gym began strictly enforcing the use of safety clips, a rule many members had previously ignored. Warning signs were posted near every machine reminding runners to avoid distractions and keep their focus on the belt. Jessica's death sparked renewed discussion in the fitness community about treadmill safety and the dangers of using phones during high-speed runs. It was June 22nd, 2017, and Gold's Gym in Las Vegas pulsed with the energy of serious bodybuilders preparing for summer competition season. The 25,000-square-foot Temple of Iron attracted the most dedicated athletes in the city, its walls lined with photos of champions who had built their physiques within these hallowed halls. The air conditioning worked overtime against the desert heat, while the sound of clanking plates created a symphony of ambition and sweat. Tyler Brooks stood before the supplement station he had created in his gym locker, an array of bottles and powders that would make a pharmacy jealous. At 22, the college student had transformed his body over the past 2 years, but his upcoming bodybuilding competition demanded more than natural progress could provide. His dorm room looked like a chemistry lab, with illegal stimulants ordered from overseas websites promising miraculous results. Tyler had been experiencing heart palpitations and severe headaches for the past week, but he attributed these symptoms to the normal stress of intense training and his upcoming finals. His pre-workout routine had evolved from a single scoop of commercial powder to a dangerous cocktail of banned substances that he mixed with the precision of a mad scientist. Tonight's dose was triple his normal amount, a desperate attempt to achieve the pump that would set him apart from his competition. The bodybuilding competition was just 3 weeks away, and Tyler felt the pressure of 2 years of preparation weighing on his shoulders. His transformation photos on Instagram had gained thousands of followers, but he knew the stage would reveal every weakness in his physique. The supplements promised to unlock his genetic potential, and Tyler was willing to risk everything for the trophy that had consumed his thoughts. His girlfriend had threatened to leave him if he didn't stop the dangerous supplementation, but Tyler convinced himself that she simply didn't understand the sacrifices required for greatness. His parents had noticed his increasingly erratic behavior during their weekly phone calls, but Tyler dismissed their concerns as typical parental worry. The underground bodybuilding forums he frequented were filled with success stories from users who had pushed their bodies to similar extremes, and Tyler believed he was simply following a proven path to victory. He mixed his pre-workout cocktail in the gym's bathroom, combining caffeine pills, ephedrine, and several unpronounceable compounds that promised explosive energy and muscle pumps. The bitter taste made him gag, but Tyler forced down the entire mixture, feeling the familiar tingle that signaled his body's response to the chemical assault. Within 20 minutes, Tyler's heart was racing at over 200 beats per minute as he attempted his first set of bicep curls. The 40-pound dumbbells felt weightless in his hands, but his chest began to tighten with a pain that felt different from normal training discomfort. Sweat poured down his face as his body temperature spiked, the stimulants overwhelming his cardiovascular system. Tyler collapsed between the dumbbell racks, his body convulsing as other gym members rushed to help. His skin had turned a frightening shade of red as hyperthermia set in, his core temperature reaching 106 degrees Fahrenheit, while his heart struggled to pump blood through his overheated system. The stimulants had triggered a cascade of organ failure that no amount of CPR could reverse. Paramedics found Tyler in cardiac arrest, his heart unable to handle the massive stimulant overload that had seemed like the key to his success. He was pronounced dead at University Medical Center. His dreams of bodybuilding glory ended by the very supplements he believed would make him a champion. The gym implemented educational programs about supplement safety, while Tyler's death became a cautionary tale about the hidden dangers lurking in unregulated pre-workout products. It was January 11th, 2014, and LA Fitness in Phoenix offered a welcome escape from the desert's surprising winter chill. The 30,000 square foot facility's sauna had become Robert Chen's nightly refuge, a 190-degree sanctuary where he could finally silence the constant pressure of 80-hour work weeks and impossible software deadlines. The cedar-lined room's dry heat promised to melt away the stress that had been consuming his life for the past 6 months. Robert's software engineering project had reached a critical phase, with his team racing to meet a deadline that could make or break his company's future. At 45, he had been surviving on 4 hours of sleep and a diet of energy drinks and takeout food, using the sauna as his only form of stress relief. His wife had been begging him to take a vacation, but Robert insisted he could handle the pressure until the project launched. The evening's happy hour with his coworkers had been a rare break from the coding marathon, but 3 beers on an empty stomach had left Robert feeling more relaxed than he had in months. The alcohol mixed with his exhaustion as he entered the empty sauna at 9 p.m., planning his usual 30-minute session before heading home to another sleepless night of debugging code. Robert had been using the sauna daily for the past month, often falling asleep on the wooden benches as his body finally found the relaxation that eluded him at home. The gym staff knew him as the quiet regular who always stayed until closing time, never causing trouble or requiring attention. Tonight felt no different as he settled onto his favorite bench, the heat already working its magic on his tense muscles. His doctor had warned him about the dangers of combining alcohol with extreme heat, especially given his elevated stress levels and poor physical condition. But Robert had dismissed the medical advice, convinced that the sauna was the only thing keeping him sane during the most challenging project of his career. His blood pressure medication sat forgotten in his gym bag, another casualty of his obsessive work schedule and deteriorating self-care routine. The project's launch date loomed just 2 weeks away, and Robert's team had been working around the clock to resolve critical bugs that threatened to derail months of development. His marriage had suffered under the strain, with his wife threatening to take their children to her mother's house if he didn't prioritize his family over his career. But Robert believed that success in this project would secure their financial future and justify the sacrifices he had been making. His colleagues had noticed Robert's declining health over the past month, The weight loss, the trembling hands, the bloodshot eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. But in the competitive world of software development, showing weakness was career suicide. So Robert maintained his facade of control while his body slowly broke down under the relentless pressure. The combination of extreme heat, alcohol, and exhaustion created a perfect storm as Robert's consciousness faded. His body temperature began to rise dangerously as he remained unconscious in the 190-degree environment, his natural cooling mechanisms overwhelmed by the sustained heat exposure. The alcohol in his system prevented him from waking as his core temperature climbed toward fatal levels. For over an hour, Robert lay motionless on the sauna bench while his organs began to shut down from hyperthermia. His body temperature reached 108 degrees Fahrenheit as heat stroke set in, causing irreversible damage to his brain and vital organs. The cedar walls that had once provided comfort now became the walls of an oven, slowly cooking him alive while he remained unconscious. A gym employee discovered Robert's body at around 10:15 p.m. during a routine check, his skin bright red from the prolonged heat exposure. Paramedics confirmed he had died from hyperthermia, his body unable to survive the sustained temperature that had exceeded safe limits for hours. LA Fitness implemented mandatory wellness checks and automatic timers for sauna use, while Robert's death led to industry-wide changes in sauna safety protocols that might have saved his life. It was September 3rd, 2018, and Planet Fitness in Chicago buzzed with the evening rush as professionals traded their scrubs and suits for workout gear. The judgment-free zone's purple and yellow decor created a welcoming atmosphere for fitness newcomers, while the Lunk alarm system ensured that intimidation stayed outside. The free weight section, though smaller than traditional gyms, offered enough equipment for members to explore strength training at their own pace. Amanda Foster had been gradually building her confidence with free weights over the past 3 months, transitioning from machines to barbells as her nursing job demanded increasing physical strength. At 31, she had discovered that weightlifting helped her handle the physical demands of moving patients and working 12-hour shifts on her feet. Her YouTube education had taught her the basics, but complex movements still felt foreign and challenging. Amanda had been fighting a minor cold for the past week, experiencing occasional dizziness that she attributed to her busy schedule and lack of sleep. Her nursing shifts had been particularly demanding, with several heavy patient transfers that left her feeling drained and unsteady. But her workout routine had become sacred, the 1 hour of her day that belonged entirely to her. The overhead squat had caught her attention in a fitness video that promised to build functional strength for real-world activities. The movement looked simple enough: hold a barbell overhead while squatting down. But Amanda had never attempted anything so complex. The 45-pound Olympic barbell felt manageable in her hands, and the gym's busy atmosphere made her feel confident that help was nearby if needed. Amanda positioned herself in the free weight area, loading the barbell with just the standard 45-pound weight. The movement felt awkward as she pressed the bar overhead, her shoulders already fatigued from her shift at the hospital. The dizziness she had been experiencing all day intensified as she held the weight above her head. But Amanda pushed through the discomfort. As she began her descent into the squat position, Amanda's balance faltered. The combination of illness, fatigue, and an unfamiliar movement pattern created a perfect storm of instability. The 45-pound barbell slipped from her grip, falling directly onto the top of her skull with devastating force. The impact created a depressed skull fracture, driving bone fragments into Amanda's brain as she collapsed to the rubber floor. Blood pooled beneath her head as other gym members screamed and rushed to help, but the damage was already done. The weight that was supposed to make her stronger had instead delivered a blow that her skull couldn't withstand. Amanda was rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, where surgeons fought to save her life through emergency brain surgery. But the trauma was too severe, and she died 3 days later from complications related to her traumatic brain injury. Planet Fitness implemented new safety protocols requiring instruction for complex movements, while Amanda's family established a foundation promoting gym safety education that honored her memory by protecting other fitness newcomers. It was November 28, 2013, and Anytime Fitness in Portland offered 24-hour access to members seeking to transform their health on their own schedules. The 8,000-square-foot facility's compact layout maximized every square foot, with cardio equipment facing wall-mounted televisions, while free weights occupied the back corner. The Thanksgiving holiday had emptied the gym of its usual crowd, leaving just a few dedicated members pursuing their fitness goals. David Wilson had been attacking his new workout routine with the intensity of a man racing against time. At 52, the insurance salesman had received a wake-up call from his doctor about his high blood pressure and family history of heart disease. His medicine cabinet contained bottles of blood pressure medication that he often forgot to take when he felt fine, convinced that exercise alone could reverse decades of poor health choices. David's transformation had become an obsession over the past month, with high-intensity circuit training sessions that left him gasping and dizzy. He had been experiencing chest pains during previous workouts, but dismissed them as normal muscle soreness from his aggressive training schedule. His wife had begged him to slow down, but David insisted that half measures wouldn't produce the dramatic results his health required. The circuit training routine he had designed pushed every muscle group to failure, combining burpees, mountain climbers, and jumping jacks in a relentless sequence that would challenge athletes half his age. David's competitive nature, honed through decades of sales targets and quotas, demanded that he push through any discomfort that stood between him and his goals. Tonight's workout felt different from the moment David stepped onto the gym floor. His chest felt tight, and his left arm ached with a dull pain that he attributed to yesterday's upper body session. But David had never missed a workout since starting his transformation, and tonight wouldn't be the first. He began his circuit with jumping jacks, his heart rate climbing rapidly as sweat beaded on his forehead. During his third set of burpees, David suddenly clutched his chest as a crushing pain radiated down his left arm. The massive heart attack struck with the force of a freight train, dropping him to the gym floor as his cardiac muscle began to die from lack of oxygen. His face turned gray as he gasped for air that wouldn't relieve the crushing sensation in his chest. The gym staff initially thought David was simply exhausted from his intense workout, a common sight among members who pushed too hard too fast. Precious minutes ticked by as they offered him water and encouraged him to rest, unaware that his heart was literally dying inside his chest. Other members finally recognized the severity of his condition and called 911, but the delay had already sealed David's fate. David went into full cardiac arrest on the rubber gym floor, his heart's electrical system failing as massive portions of muscle tissue died. The gym staff attempted CPR, but they had no automated external defibrillator to shock his heart back into rhythm. Paramedics arrived to find David's heart had suffered too much damage to recover, the delay in recognition proving fatal. David was pronounced dead at Providence Portland Medical Center from a massive myocardial infarction that had destroyed most of his left ventricle. Investigation revealed the gym lacked basic emergency equipment that might have saved his life, while his family discovered he had been skipping his blood pressure medication for weeks. Anytime Fitness implemented mandatory AED requirements and CPR training for all staff members, while David's death highlighted the critical importance of medical clearance before starting intense exercise programs, especially for older adults with underlying health conditions. Thanks for watching. Click the next video and you will remember these cautionary stories and ask yourself, is that extra rep really worth risking everything?